Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live reading session with myself, Hannah. I'm back. I said yesterday that I would be back today, especially for those of you who maybe missed out yesterday. So, live readings. How it works. Actually, do you know what? I'll just wait for people to view, to come through, to join. Hello, thank you for joining. And yeah, we have a couple people in. So the way it works is that you go to the description box. Okay, the instructions are there. Basically, you go to the link. It is $25 for a reading. And make sure that you let me know your time of birth, date of birth, and place of birth, plus any question you have about your chart. Your information will also be covered up, so that won't be shown. And yeah, so that's basically how it works. The instructions, like I said, can be found below. So now we wait. Now we wait. We'll even just see if anybody decides to join, and it's completely fine if not. I can always come back next week. There's always next week. I just like to do these at the weekends. I think it probably is better for people's schedules. More people are off, I think, generally at the weekend. Oh, Shay, you're back. Happy birthday, Shay. You're back. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, let's look. Let's have a look at your chart. And everybody in the audience, please say happy birthday to Shay. Okay, let's see. Just give me a moment. I'm just entering info. It's also the final day of Capricorn season. Capricorn season from 2024 to 2025. Aquarius season starts tomorrow. How are we feeling about it? So apparently, is it tomorrow that TikTok is supposed to be deleted, cancelled in the United States? I do not personally use TikTok. I did try it business-wise, but then I just thought, nah, not for me. Okay. Let's have a look. Yep. And double checking all of your information. Perfect. Let's grab progress chart to see. And let's grab. Oh. Also, just to clarify, everybody. Oh, what did I do there? Why? No. I don't want that. I don't want two separate windows. Right, okay, go again. There we go. What was I saying there? Yes. These readings are more quick fire readings. And if you're interested in booking a full reading, you can go to my website, hannahselsewhere.com. I also have now a month ahead option. So if you want a monthly report, there is now an option. So you can purchase for the month of March. That is currently available over on my website. Okay, so I have your chart here, Shay, and I'm just gonna, of course, save it and show on the screen. And then also, I want to say hello to Jess. Hi, welcome back, Jess. Welcome back. We'll get to you after Shay then. Just double checking your information. Everything's there correctly. All right, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so let's grab this chart so we can present it. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum. Okay. Oh, we also have Sherry. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'm just double checking your information. Do we have everything? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Sherry. And the reason why I'm just trying to keep up, by the way, with everybody is because when it gets to a certain point, I do need to put in the description that I'm fully booked because I don't want to overbook myself. And let me just read the comments here. You work on the weekend, so you're working today, Shay? Working on your birthday? And hello to Soulful Spirit. Thanks for joining. Jess, yes, gotcha. Perfect. And Peaceful Aura, welcome to you. Okay. Okay, let's see. Why is that large? Sorry, 2 seconds. Trying to. Where is my options here? Ah, here it is. Here it is. Perfect. Okay. Cool. Got it. Radio. So, Shay, you want to know about purpose. And whenever we look to your chart, just give me a moment and I will assess your chart. Okay. Well, whenever I think of purpose, I can think about career. Yes, I can think about that. I can think about what we do professionally. But I also think a bit bigger than that, if you will. I like to broaden my view in that purpose can also relate to that of our family. It could also be about our hobbies, our creativity, our pets. Purpose could also be about looking after our children, being of service to society, to the world. You know, making an impact, making a difference within your communities. And whenever we explore your chart here, Shay, well, I'm just going to say this, right? With Pisces on the rising, I mean, what I get from you is that you tend to be quite a charitable, hospitable person, pretty empathetic towards other people and their stories and their experiences. Mix that in with the moon making a trine to the ascendant. The moon is in Cancer. And so, what I get from you is that you do have a lot of love to give, especially to your children, especially to your family. And the fifth house is the house of children, right? And so, the moon being there could be this indicator of you feeling this call, feeling this need, this emotional tug, perhaps, to be there as a way to support your children, your family overall. And maybe just identifying with being a bit of a caregiver, that within itself, I think it provides some kind of pleasure, comfort, because the fifth house is also the house of pleasure. It's the house of our individuality. I kind of even think about how we individuate as children. And so what I'm getting from this, Shay, is that perhaps for so much of your life you've been known as the caregiver, right? Known as the one to support other people. Now, in terms of purpose here, right? It's an interesting conversation because the moon, of course, is related to our internal landscape. It's so much about our emotional needs and our emotional well-being, our sensitivities. And the sun, on the other hand, the sun is about our direction. It's actually about the person we are striving to become. And the sun is in Capricorn for you. And so, what we could perhaps look at this as is a part of your purpose being tied to that of supporting others, not just emotionally, but also practically. This is about showing up as a bit of an authority. And what I mean by this is it's partly about you being able to direct your life from a place of inner authority, from a place of self respect. I think a big focus for you, perhaps in this life, is about respecting yourself, showing dignity. Integrity is a big Capricorn word. And so maybe a part of your purpose is sort of about aligning yourself in a way with these descriptions. But here's the other thing, and it's quite fascinating because the 11th house is the house that's tied to our future visions and hopes. So we can look perhaps at the 11th house as representing maybe later stages of our life. The houses can be sort of viewed through a lens of, okay, the first house is our birth, and then we age and we grow and da 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 da, right? They can also be laid out in different ways. But for you, what I'm trying to get at here is the 11th house is comprised of Capricorn. It's comprised of the Sun and Venus too. So I think that a big part of your future, and maybe this is what you're slowly, gradually going to more so develop as you get older, grow into, but a big part of your future is about security. I think it's about respect, honesty, security, showing up for those that matter the most in your life. And it could also be somewhat related to relationships because Venus is also in Capricorn. Maybe this could specifically be about your friendships, your communities, the teams you're a part of, networking, things like that. Now, with that being said, this is where it can maybe get a little bit more complex because challenges do happen. Challenges can happen. And a part of the challenge for you, perhaps, is tied to it could be your inner security. It could be about feeling close or safe enough with certain people, right? Because Saturn is making this same degree square to Venus. There's even a T square between these cardinal signs. Um, and so maybe there's something to be said here about blockages, challenges to do with relationships, to do with maybe other people, especially acknowledging you and respecting you, respecting your boundaries. So, all of this is to say that perhaps a challenge along your path, along your journey, so to speak, is maybe tied to it could be self love, it could be about setting healthy boundaries. Maybe, hey, this is about quality over quantity. Yeah. I think a big part of what is purposeful to you, what is maybe perhaps quite meaningful to you in this life is uh, to associate yourself, to associate yourself with, and to connect with like minded individuals who are mature, responsible, and perhaps quite wise. I'm even probably picking up here on you getting along with older people. Even whenever you were quite young, you would have perhaps uh, related to older people. So maybe people who were 5 years older than you, 10 years older than you, maybe. Or it's that often you can sort of be like a mentor towards younger people. And now that I say this, the North Node is also about purpose, but it's more about our soul's sort of mission. Uh, it's it's tied to something quite karmic. So the North Node is in Leo, and what this can indicate then is that a big part of your purpose, a big part of your soul's mission, if you will, is tied to children, right? It's maybe looking after children, it's maybe caring for the young, it's perhaps supporting the innocent. Maybe this is also about embracing greater play and spontaneity as a day-to-day thing. Just, yeah, enjoying yourself on a daily basis, maybe mapping out or penciling out just a short moment of the day so that you can enjoy yourself, right? Maybe it's about pets and animals and caring for your little animal friends. Or this could be about enjoying a certain health regime or a diet, a way of eating, basically. But it's kind of at the same time trying to ease up on any of the Aquarian traits of perhaps being overly erratic or unpredictable. What I am getting from this, and I'm going to finish off on this note, is I'm getting from this that your life path, your purpose it's deeply spiritual, even with Neptune on the midheaven. Um, but it's also about you embracing the things that you love that bring you joy and happiness on a daily basis. And then maybe as well considering times in which you might push people away out of fear of them perhaps getting close, maybe because of past rejections and past hurts. But hey, we could circle this back to you just preferring solitude. You having more of a mindset of, you know what, I would rather not have very many friends or whatever than have a bunch of fake people who I don't respect and I don't trust. Okay, so Shay, thank you so much. Now, let's see. Now we have Jess and Jess. Let me see. Okay. Okay, great. I'm just putting in your information, Jess, and I will read the comments in a moment. I just need to focus on one thing at a time. Uh-huh. Right, double checking. Perfect. And your question is about spirituality and career. All right. Hello to Clara. Welcome. And Shay, of course, happy birthday to you again. Amazing. And let me see. Dana, hello to you. To Yushi, which I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So the information is down below. But welcome to you, and welcome also to Ali. Okay. Let's see. Presenting your chart. Image. Here. All right. So, Jess, you want to know about spirituality and career. Let me have a look. See, time. Just getting some timing techniques. Mm-hmm. Radio. No problem to Maria. No problem. Okay, so Jess, just looking. Day. Pluto. Right, I am going to try my very best to break this down, and I'm going to try and talk slowly as I do so. So, to address the career part of this, right? It's interesting because there is so much happening in these first 6 houses for you. And this first 6 houses in astrology are so much about our self identity. Okay, it's more about how we develop as individuals. But then you see houses 7 through 12 is more about the public. It's those houses are a lot more social. Of course, there are certain changes, there's certain nuances to the information that I'm saying. There's more to it. But the point being that there's so much happening here when it comes to self exploration. And I'm also going to say here that with Saturn in Capricorn and at this 0 degree, this very potent degree, you perhaps from a pretty early age, young age, you have felt this sort of push or calling or sense of purpose to do with, okay, I know that I'm destined for great things, or it's that you've had certain ambitions or achievements in mind. And you can be a highly self sufficient, self reliant person. Again, perhaps because you had to from quite an early age. But you see, what we also notice is that there is so much going on the other side of the chart in this Gemini house in the 6th house. And so you may find that, well, when it comes to a certain trajectory or like a career, as you put it, right? Maybe you do actually like variety, and maybe you can get, this is what I'm getting from this, you can get quite bored easily. I sort of see this as, if you're not engaged, or if it's too samey, you can have this attitude of just, this is so worthless, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm not interested in this, on to the next thing. Therefore, when we think about work and career stuff here for you, maybe it's about trying to find or discover a role, a position, or maybe a few different positions with Gemini, two or more, uh, where you're kept engaged, you're kept sort of interested. But I suppose that's the thing too, that is a possible challenge with Gemini, right? You do have a cluster of planets in Gemini. We could even argue that it's a stellium. And one of the challenges you may face then is this fidgety sort of influence, this boredom, finding it difficult to follow through with plans, to follow things through till completion. Mix that in a little bit, I think, with your moon in Aries, and you want things now, you want things fast. And that's a very instinctive part of you, right? It's almost like you just do that automatically without thinking. So for instance, you could be maybe just thinking about something at work, or thinking about something whilst you're doing the dishes or you're cleaning, and you may have loads of ideas, honestly, right? You may find that whenever you're doing your day-to-day stuff, you're running your errands, you're doing your chores with that sixth house influence, that ideas just pew, 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 they just come, right? But the Aries moon part of you might just grab onto the idea, and it's like an excited, like, bunny or a child, just, oh, I really, really want to do this. And you just might jump. You might jump, you might leap into it. So what we perhaps want to think about is, how can we find a bit of a give and take here? How can we find a bit of a sweet spot or a balance where, yes, you're able to indulge a little bit in your creativity and your passions and your enthusiasm and all the rest of it, and you can bring ideas maybe to your employer, or you can maybe switch up schedules and host team meetings and do things differently, right? But also, how can we allow for some right, calm, just sort of like, you know what, this does seem a bit boring and basic, or I'm doing the same thing, but it's not going to be forever, right? It's trying to practice maybe a bit of patience. And here's the thing, there are these influences within your chart that invite these parts of yourself, that highlight these parts of yourself. So Jupiter is in Taurus in your fifth house. And let me just check the degrees for a moment. Let me just have a look. Degrees. Mars. Okay, so it's making a quintile to Mars in Pisces, which we'll get to in a moment. Okay, so Jupiter in Taurus says, here are some blessings and gifts to do with being able to slow down, to do with patience. And I think actually the ways in which you show the most patience could be whenever you are being creative, or whenever you are looking after your children, or whenever you are maybe spending time with your romantic partner. This could be where this greater ease sort of comes out. Whenever you're spending some time off, possibly. So whenever we think about Mars, then Mars is in Pisces, and Mars is about our drive. It's about our will, how we assert ourselves. Mars and Pisces can actually also be quite fluctuating and flexible and very adaptable. And there can also be these huge emotional waves that happen, right? So again, we're getting inconsistency. But here's the thing, with the quintile between Mars and Jupiter, we see here a possibility for you working on a gift, a talent. So, what could this look like? Maybe a part of a big focus for you in this life in terms of maybe enjoyment or it could be related to purpose. And I'm going to say why that is in a moment. But maybe a part of it is about creativity. It's about even writing or educating yourself, learning a new skill, a new subject. Maybe it's about spirituality. Oh, we're mixing in the spiritual stuff that you mentioned. Maybe you possess some sort of intuitive gift, or it's that where you feel really called. The North Node is also in Pisces, by the way, which you're actually going to experience your nodal return. So there's that. So basically, all of this is to say, my meaning of this is that perhaps a big part of your calling, a big part of your soul's mission in this life is actually to do with your intuition. It's to do with communication. It's to do with variety itself, but spiritual variety, perhaps. But then again, with the quintile between Mars and Saturn, we go back to Saturn, you have an opportunity here to perhaps draw from this self-sufficient part of you, right? From this part of you that can be structured and can be disciplined. I almost kind of feel like it's about trying to call on Saturn slightly to help anchor you. And I'm also going to say here that with Pluto, we're going to just mention this lastly. Pluto is on the midheaven, and this can indicate that when it comes to a career, a profession, what you want to do long term, I think, okay, one could be that you experience or have experienced upheavals, power struggles, power plays with members of authority, and it's like, seriously. But this could also be an indicator that where you can really thrive is within a leadership role. Blend that in with the moon in Aries. The moon is in Aries, quintile Mercury, and Venus in Gemini. So, all in all, I think what we're getting from this is you would thrive in a supervisor role, a leadership role, where you're giving some kind of direction, but you're also social. You're chatty with people. Maybe it is about entering into roles where you are very engaging, you're always learning something new, every day is different, but then you can equally draw from this Capricorn part of you that says, hey, I mean business. Okay, thank you so much, Jess. Thank you. Okay, and Clara, thank you for booking. And if I just move over, okay. So Jess, there we go. And Maria, I'm just going to enter in your information, Maria. And Jess, oh, you're the happiest when you're with your kids and your husband. I love that, right? Jupiter's so much about this happiness and joy. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm just being quiet because I'm entering in information and I want to do it correctly. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Let's see. Right. And Somali, thank you so much. I have your request through. So we have Maria and then Clara. Oh, actually, let me see. Hold on a second, let me see here. Oh, Jess, you say you've been working on your mediumship. Oh, very exciting. And Clara, okay, so you want to know about your relationships, Clara, though I do need some information from you, and you can feel free to email me at hannahselsewhere@outlook.com, but I need your time of birth, your place of birth, and your date of birth. I need those three things. And welcome to everybody who is joining. Thanks for being here. But yeah, to confirm, it's going to be Maria. I'm going to read Maria's chart now. And then it will be you, Clara. But just make sure that you send me through your information. And also, if you are comfortable just putting it in the chat, you can always do that. And then Somali, you will be after. And I'm just checking your information. Yes. Okay, so we have yours. Perfect. Right, so I'm looking through your question, Maria. And then I'm also trying to keep my eye on the chat a little bit for Clara. So the 12th house. Challenges, things like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and begin with yours, Maria. And if I do stop for just a second because I'm trying to keep up with other things, I do apologize, but we'll try our best to keep focused. Okay. So you want to know about these 12th house influences for you. And what I'm really picking up on here is, what you're saying is that connecting with people does seem to be a bit of a challenge. And already what I do want to mention is you've got this Capricorn rising, and then the moon is in Capricorn, right? So the moon is in Capricorn there. And so already with the moon on the ascendant, this can be an indicator of, okay, you're very protective of your emotions and of your feelings. Especially in Capricorn, there is this reserved presence when it comes to you. And maybe this is something that you've been like this basically from a pretty young age, maybe for as long as you can remember. You have went into your shell when need be, or you've needed to perhaps defend yourself or protect yourself. And maybe as well, these kinds of patterns and themes, perhaps they were somehow picked up on from family. It was almost like what was reflected back at you. This could have been conscious, this could have been unconscious, it could have been directly or indirectly, but what was reflected back at you was, okay, well, keep your emotions in, or don't sweat it, don't let people see you sweat, don't let people see you struggle. We take on the next day. And it could be this feeling or this sense of having a stiff upper lip. Like, no, I'm going to keep it all together. And then the other thing about it is it can take you a while to sort of bring down your walls. And this stuff I'm saying, right, it's not bad, right? It's not like it's a negative thing to be like this. It's more so that these kinds of themes could be causing you issues or problems. This is when we want to think about addressing this stuff, right? It's whenever these things can become an issue. And so what I'm thinking here is it that whenever you were younger, it was sort of like a message of we don't talk about that here. Or when we connect this with how the moon is making a trine with Chiron, even the ascendant is creating that trine with Chiron. Chiron is in Taurus and it's in the fifth house. The fifth house, and this is what I was saying earlier, the fifth house is so much about how we individuate from our family. It's about our individuality. Us, imagine it as if you are a child and you're playing with people, you're playing on your own, even. It's just about the play and the fun and the curiosity of the world, the spontaneity of the world, you know. And Chiron, then in the fifth, can suggest a rejection, it can suggest a wound, it can be this indicator of you not getting to be a child. Maybe because you had so many other responsibilities, you had so many other things that you had to attend to. Or it's that there were these challenges to do with feeling secure within your body, especially around other children. What I'm picking up on here slightly is this could be perhaps bullying. Yeah, this could be indicators of bullying, of being shamed, judged, being criticized heavily by your peers, by other children. And with Chiron making this square to Mercury, you could have then been sent this message or this signal that I have to keep quiet. I have to be quiet. Mercury's retrograde as well. So almost as if to say, I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself. I am going to observe and I'm not going to share anything, especially because what I was taught was that whenever I do try to have fun, enjoy myself, jump into play, I was pushed out. Okay, this is what I'm picking up on, and it could have been major than triggers or sensitivities, wounds tied to your very self-worth. And it's the whole thing as well with Aquarius of the detachment, just needing to detach, but maybe more so from a place of protection. Okay. So we've explored this stuff a little bit. But let's think about the 12th, because this is really why you're here. This is what you're asking about. And the 12th, if you can imagine it like this, the 12th is sort of like, and maybe in combination with the 7 slightly, we sort of push things back into the unconscious. We go, no, that thing there, it's not okay. I'm not allowed to express that. People don't like that. Oh, so we bury stuff. The 8th house can also be about the things that we bury, the things that we hide. But with the 12th house being such a hidden house, what could be coming through for you then is that what you hid was that of, well, it could have been your sensitivities. That's one I'm picking up on. So maybe being told, oh, you're too sensitive. Oh, why would you be crying about that? Get over that, especially with the moon in Capricorn, right? But also, you could have hid your quirks, right? Your quirks, the things, everybody is so unique in their own way. And your uniqueness could have been seen as that's not okay here. Or it was judged. It was judged heavily. Um, it was perhaps viewed as, well, that doesn't align with our beliefs, so get with the program or get out, right? So, what we then learn about the 12th house is this is about integrating the 12th. This is about coming to terms with our hidden self, our hidden parts. But it's also seeing that these very parts that we may be judged or we may feel ashamed of, we may not so much like about ourselves because it was communicated that it wasn't okay. Those parts are actually gifts. They are talents. And we want to be mindful then, because it's those very things that can be our self undoing. So if we deny our 12th house placement, so if you were to deny, for example, your sensitivities, oh no, keep doing that. That within itself can keep you in a like a prison, right? The 12th house is the house of prisons, kind of locked away, and it can be a part of your own self undoing. And then that very thing, it consumes you and it's unconscious, and you keep on going round and round, right? It can be this place of insanity. So this is where looking to your sensitivities, right? Exploring it, looking at it, feeling into it, and saying, hey, you know what? It's okay to be like this. It's okay. It's okay to uh it's okay to embrace the things that make you unique, the things that make you different and stand out. And I'm going to say, lastly, here with the North Node in Cancer, I think that's another nod to it's okay to be emotional. Mm-hmm. Thing about, I just want to say here quickly, the thing about being emotional is it's not necessarily just, you know, emotions. Emotions can vary, right? We can feel all different types of emotions, but also it's a feeling. It's an inner thing. It's like, I'm feeling these sensations in my body, and maybe that's another thing with the Chiron in Taurus. It's sort of like representing perhaps how disconnected you can be from your body at times. Again, maybe because you had to. So I think a big part of this is to nurture yourself, to nourish yourself, and to look within and to maybe identify these parts of yourself that you were so deeply judged for, and to integrate them. Okay, now we could talk way more about that. Maria. Yeah, Maria. I had to double check. We could, but we don't have much time. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope that that was helpful. Okay, let's see. Now we have Clara. Yes, back to you, Clara. I need to check. Yes, there we go. Got ya. Got your information. Lovely. Let me see. 'Chat. Okay, chat. Okay. No, okay. 27. P. Okay. Oh no, R. PLO. PLO. Uh-huh. 9. 12. 1. Yeah, I think we have everything. Perfect. Clara. Great. Okay, let's see. So, Clara, we have your chart and everything, and you want to know about love relationships, romantic relationships, things like that. Okay, great. Just give me a moment, please. Oh, hold on. Also, happy birthday to you, Clara. I'm pretty sure it was on the 12th, right? Happy birthday to you. I hope you had a lovely birthday. Right, let's see. 5. Where are you? 3. 4, all right, ninth. All right. So, love, romantic relationships, things like that. Just give me a moment. I'll just look. All right. Here is where I'm going to begin. And I'm going to start by saying that Venus right now is making a conjunction with Saturn. And this conjunction is an indicator of a new cycle to do with relationship commitment. And this will be a year. So this cycle that I'm talking about, it's a year cycle because it'll take about a year for Venus to travel back around and to connect in again with Saturn. But why is this significant for you, Clara? Because your natal Venus is in Pisces. And what I'm getting from this is that when it comes to relationships and love, you can be very, very sensitive to the other person's needs, to their feelings, but you can also romanticize. You can also perhaps feel really tuned in on a deeper, soulful, spiritual level. And if not, I think this is what you crave. I think this is what you desire when it comes to relationships and connection. When we also relate this to Mars, Mars is in Scorpio along with the moon. And so this right here also adds so much passion, so much intensity, big feelings. But what I'm also picking up on here is that maybe what you have discovered along your journey is that it's difficult to relate to somebody who feels as deeply as you. It's difficult to find partners, lovers who can be quite as tuned in as you. Maybe a part of this is about finding someone who is especially matched with you sexually. And also, I would say, I think this conjunction of Venus and Saturn in the sky right now, it's sort of like a blessing in a way. Stay with me here. Saturn can be this holding force, right? Saturn restricts, Saturn holds something down, okay? So we can look at this as you seeing through anything that doesn't align with you within relationships. So when we consider here these possibilities of you searching for someone who is matched with you, maybe it is about wanting to develop more of a soulful bond or just more of an emotional connection, right? An intimate connection more than anything. I think the conjunction here with Saturn could be more so about, okay, well, these are my limits. This is my worth. I know myself. I'm not going to repeat the same patterns and the same things anymore. I'm so done with that. And this is happening in your second house of self-worth, But the other thing, here's the other thing, right? Chiron is also in Pisces. So this is what I'm also picking up on. Do you even believe that you're worthy of finding someone that I describe? Is it that you have been so wounded, so pained, so hurt by certain partners? Neptune is making a trine to Chiron, and Neptune is in Scorpio. And I'm sort of picking up on here possible addictive tendencies, paranoia, going to extremes. Naturally, I could be talking about the partners you've attracted. Maybe parts of this are tied to yourself. So I'm thinking about how all encompassing, how very extreme relationships have been for you, and how such matters have consumed your life or your sense of self and your self-worth. So whenever we look at this more, I do want to think about how the North Node was recently in Aries, and you actually experienced a nodal return recently. Okay, because your North Node, your natal North Node is in Aries, the North Node was in Aries. And I think what you're about to arrive at is it's like I am over it. I am changing something once and for good. And I think a big part of this is about worth. It's about self-worth. It's about self-respect. It's about breaking cycles, breaking patterns, no longer indulging in the self-destructive tendencies, the self-destructive behaviors, especially because, right, eclipses are going to happen in this second house, eighth house axis for you. Keep in mind, Pluto is in your eighth, Venus is in your second. So we are going to see relationship breakthroughs and changes and renewals up ahead. And I'm also going to mention partly about this that one, the North Node is aligning with Chiron for you. So we are seeing this opening up of pains, opening up of heartache and things like that. And with Pisces involved, my goodness, please be compassionate towards yourself, practice self-forgiveness, kindness, patience, gentleness, tenderness, softness, all that stuff with Pisces. But then also I want to say with Pluto in Virgo, the South Node is very close to that. I'm going to say here, be mindful of those familiar patterns and habits and cycles that you engage in. it can be ever so tempting. It can be ever so tempting. And I hope, when we really do dig into that eighth house arena, I hope it is about you being able to see that there are people who can help you if you find yourself, with the floodgates just open and you're overthinking and you're keeping yourself up at night, worrying maybe. And then I'm also going to say this. It's very interesting to me that it's so clear, when it comes to relationships, that it is more of an emotional, intimate connection you're looking for. But with Gemini in the fifth, it seems as if the types of people you do attract, we think about dating and those beginning stages when it comes to love, you seem to perhaps attract people who they could be emotionally unavailable, honestly, or they could be all sweet talk and, chatty about things, but there's no real follow through with their words. Even Mercury, which rules your fifth, is in Aquarius, so there could be maybe some detachment going on there. But I'm also going to say this before we close off. I wonder how much of this detachment is coming from you. And I wonder, is it that even a part of yourself keeps people back from truly getting to know you and to love you, right? It's like perhaps there is something here to be said about trusting that you will be with someone who can get to know those parts of you that maybe you feel in many ways are in so much pain, right? But this could also be where, and I'm going to close off by saying this could be where the North Node in your second house over the next 18 months could be quite a journey for you in terms of self-discovery related to your self-worth. Okay, Clara, thank you so much. And happy birthday again for you a few days ago. Right, let's have a look. Now we have Somali, and I'm just gonna put in your information. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. April. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Oh, we've got quite a few Capricorn risings booking this evening. Very interesting. So last night, a lot of Gemini risings. And then this evening, we have Capricorn risings. Right. I'm just getting a couple of timing techniques, Somali. And also, I would like to say to India, thank you so much for booking. Let me just see here. India, are you in the chat? If you're in the chat currently, India, I need some information from you. I need your time of birth, your date of birth, and your place of birth to do your reading. And also, let me know if you have a question. Oh, let's see. Oh, got you, India. All right, perfect. Great. Again, thank you so much, Clara. And India, no problem, noted. And I will just scroll back up after I look at Somali's chart. I'm just reading through your question, Somali. Neptune. Yep. Spiritually and professionally, you want to know about these shifts. All right. Let's have a look. And calculator. Okay. 90. All right. Saturn return, Venus return, Neptune spiritually and professionally. All right. Well, let's firstly let's actually address something that I think is quite significant about your Venus return and your Saturn return. And I think it's really fascinating to think that of all the days you would reach out to book this reading today. Why I'm saying this, Somali, is because currently in the sky we have Venus and Saturn making a same degree conjunction in Pisces. And so this is this fusion, right? The conjunction is a fusion of the planets involved. So we have Venus, that is about beauty, love, attraction, creativity, finances. And then we have Saturn, which is about structure, rules, confinement, limitations, professionalism. So commitment as well. So to sort of combine these two in this sign of Pisces, there is what feels like a calling or a new chapter, turning a new page when it comes to perhaps this could be about your spirituality. This could be about your deeper yearnings, your deeper feelings and cravings related to relationships. This could also be, to an extent, about communication. For example, how you maybe communicate to yourself. What is that? What is that conversation there, so to speak? What is the running pattern? What are the thoughts that happen whenever you think about yourself, think about the world? Is it that you can often at times feel limited, or you can second guess yourself or doubt yourself? Chiron, you see, is opposing this Saturn influence, especially. So we could see this as a part of your Saturn return journey, right? You're about to approach the the most potent part of your Saturn return, and a whole chart will be drawn for that, by the way. But with that being said, a part of your Saturn return journey, I think, is about trying to address this pain, this wound. To do with what? Well, a wound to do with your health, your body. Could be related to overthinking, could be related to excessive worry, especially about the future. Maybe there's some sort of rejection, or there's a challenge to do with your higher education. I wonder to myself, is it that you have decided to go a different way when it comes to your higher education, and because of that, there's some resistance? And then I also think slightly here about how Saturn is in your third. Of course, Saturn is your chart ruler, indicating a significant area of your life. I think about you, perhaps early schooling years, third house territory here, early schooling years, doing everything the right way. It's like, yes, I got the grades, I got the feedback, I was well liked at school, or I still had my challenges. It was still difficult at times to relate to people. I still felt a bit insecure within myself, but you know what? I did everything I was supposed to do, but yet it was never enough. It's that sort of feeling, perhaps. Maybe a part of your Saturn return is trying to come to terms with this part of yourself, this very accomplished, very studious part of yourself. But yet, maybe deep down, there's something that just didn't really feel so connected with that, so aligned with that. Maybe you felt deep down that, maybe you were aligned more with a creative subject, or it's that you were more musically attuned. Maybe, it could have been that you were actually pretty well accomplished when it came to your musical skills, your musical gifts. Could be the case now. And even on that note, maybe there was so much pressure to perform then, right? It's like what I'm getting from this is you feeling the responsibility, the weight of the world, so to speak, to make everybody proud of you, but yet there's still, I think there's just something here about not feeling good enough. There is the internal, this inner critic that seems to capture you and pull you under. And I think that is perhaps a part of what your Saturn return is going to bring up within you. And this is by no means a quick fix. This is not about just going, oh, right, okay, I see that, right? This is how we deal with this, and it's done overnight. This is a process. With Chiron, it's a journey, it's a process. Heck, there are stages to Chiron in a way, but I'm not going to get too much into detail about that. But I think ultimately, this circles in a way back to compassion, self-love, being kind to yourself, recognizing the inner thoughts, the inner critic when it comes up, catching it before it takes over, before it absolutely demolishes you. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I really do. I really think that these are the things that you're having to come to terms with. And the other thing about this I'm going to say is whenever this part of you takes over, it gets in the way of your creative flow. But you, especially with Venus and Saturn in the third in Pisces, Pisces can be so gifted creatively, artistically, musically. Maybe you're so good with poetry. Maybe you're great at dance or writing or painting. Just, oh my goodness, so much here. And I think the challenge then is to get out of your head so much, to not let the inner critic win. And I think with the South Node now being in your ninth and the North Node being in your third for the next 18 months, that's kind of beautiful, really, because you're about to embark on that very journey and you're going to learn so much about yourself. You really are. And it could be hard, right? It could be hard to sort of catch that part of you out on the act and say, I get it. I get it. But it's also trying not to sort of punish it or go, that's really annoying. It's still about trying to practice this patience, this serenity, this greater calm. So, all in all, right, when we think about your Saturn return, these are some themes I think they're going to come up. Plus, I'm also going to just say this quickly. Whenever you put in the work with Saturn, you can get so much from it. So in your case, we could look at this as whenever you put in the work when it comes to your writing skills, your communication skills, marketing skills, social media skills, like all these possibilities with the third house, whenever you are consistent, whenever you're putting in that time and that effort, you're going to find that in the long run, you could be really very much rewarded for that. Venus is exalted in Pisces too. So it's like abundant sort of, you know. So it could be really beautiful if you think about it. Okay, but you do also want to know about this Venus return. And I suppose that's the thing. I think the Saturn return and the Venus return in some ways, they're going hand in hand here, especially with this particular time, because they're so close together. But what I will just say here is, because we can't be here forever, of course, it's just, these are quick readings. But remember, with a Venus return, there's a whole chart for that. With a Saturn return, there's a whole chart for that. So maybe that's something you can perhaps do for yourself there. And just to touch on Neptune before we finish off. Neptune, yes, Neptune has been in your third house for the past, since 2011, I'm pretty sure. So this maybe is where we've noticed you be inspired, right? Pisces is a sign of fascination and inspiration and awe. It's like Pisces is sort of seeing a beautiful sunset and you're just in awe. Like, it's so gorgeous. So we can maybe look at this in terms of what you've been learning about media, art, creativity, all these things just boom, just bursting out of you and you feeling so inspired over all these years, right? So we get to Neptune and more specifically, Neptune entering Aries. And Neptune will go into your fourth house just for a short window. It's going to dip back into your third. And what I'm about to say here is just the beginning stages, essentially. So Neptune coming into the fourth for you, because Neptune rules your third already. Maybe this is where we see you taking could be your skills, your communication abilities, especially because with Saturn there, it's like you've been doing the work. Taking those things to the next level in a way. Even Saturn's going to join up with Neptune to support that energy flow a little bit. So this could be, for example, you doing a lot of work at home, could be writing at home, maybe it could be a professional thing, right? Because Saturn, your chart ruler, will also come into Aries for that short window with Neptune. And then what will happen throughout 2026 and beyond is both will join up with Mercury and the Sun for you. So, final point I'm going to make here. Professionally, I think you're going to see your writing skills, your communication skills absolutely soar, maybe with greater recognition, greater reward, earning money from these projects. Of course, Saturn rules your second house as well. Amazing. Okay. And then also spiritually, you've been doing the spiritual work, so to speak, in that you've been very introspective. And I think that basically with those returns, it's just a whole new cycle. Again, look into those charts. Just try to look into those charts for yourself. Somali, thank you so much. Oh, did I not show your chart on the thing? Sorry. I did not. I did not show your chart. Is that okay? I am so sorry, Somali. I'm so sorry. I should have presented your chart. Well, there it is. That's your chart there. I do apologize. But you know what? It sounds like it was beneficial for you. Let me see. Chiron, yes. The art flow. Oh, you already work from home. Okay. Interesting. Okay. You were just watching me just talk about it. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, no problem. Well, there we go. Well, let's see. India, you're next. And then Marie. And what I'm going to do, 2 seconds here, India and Marie, just give me a moment because I'm going to edit my title. That is me fully booked for this evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining this evening. It's been a great session, I think. Okay, let's see. Oh, damn. I need to not pick. I'm doing the whole Virgo thing where I'm like, I should have shown the chart. It is what it is. You said it's fine. That's the main thing, right? Okay, let's see. Fully booked for this evening. And again, as I say, these are just shorter readings. If you want to book longer readings with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. Yeah. I've actually updated my services. You can see for yourself. There's a couple of different services that I offer now, which I'm very excited about, honestly. But anyway, India. I'm going to put in your information and I'm going to remember to present the chart. Oh, okay. Interesting. You're going to watch those again. Nice. Okay, great. Amazing, Somali. Thank you. Right. I am trying to find then India. I'm just going up to the top. Let's see. Okay, right. Yep. Uh-huh. Oh. There we go. All right. So I'm going to remember this time. Oh, I'm actually just going to read your info. Question. Planning huge changes this year. You've opened up your own virtual private practice. Okay. Therapist. Planning to move to Portugal. Right. Portugal. Okay. Let's see. Oh, no. Need to change the image over. Right. India. Guidance about how you see the changes aligning with your chart and any suggestions, thoughts, your transitions. You're moving from Arizona to Portugal. You currently live in Arizona. Okay, so Portugal in September. You're in a romantic relationship that you're feeling uncertain about. Okay, got ya. Just give me a moment so I can process, I can take in the question, and of course, assess your chart in the meantime. Portugal. Oh, here. Sun, ascendant. Sun. Chiron. Okay. Right. So, therapy. So, your own virtual private practice as a therapist. Well, what I'm getting from this, so you want to know more so about alignments, what do I see in the chart? First thing that comes to mind here is the eighth house in astrology is about psychology, psychoanalysis, therapy, right? Things like that. And what we notice for you is that both Mercury and Venus are in Aquarius. So, Aquarius, for one, is a sign that's tied to technology. So, we see this virtual, right? The virtual stuff, um, technological advances and things like that changes. But then we also see here that Venus can be about how we make money. And then Mercury is also about communication. So we can see, essentially, we can see these patterns and themes to do with this very rule that you talk about. And then equally, with the Sun and Saturn being in Pisces, we also see here that you bring so much empathy. I really think that there is a lot of empathy and care and support. And I'm also going to say, and it's interesting. I'm also going to say that it's perhaps through your clients. It's through maybe you. It's more so the term is patience, but it's through those people that you help that teach you so much. I think about yourself too, because even Venus is opposing Mars retrograde in the moon. So there could be a lot of unconscious stuff that sort of comes up within you in many ways, whenever you are helping people. And I think that you have a really good eye, I think because Aquarius is a sign that seems to be able to see the bigger picture, kind of viewing things more from a bird's eye view. And I think that you possess these kinds of gifts and these skills. But equally with Leo, a lot of this stuff is about your passions, your individuality, what you want, things like that. So I do think ultimately what I'm trying to get at here, India, is when it comes to how you make money, when it comes to the role you take on, I think it is about doing something that really aligns with your heart, right? It's also about you. It's like, I feel passionate about this. I really want to do this. But there's also that perspective that you're able to give others, where maybe you can identify certain patterns and themes for other people to do with self-love, self-care, things like that. Now, as for the traveling stuff, right? So I find it interesting because Jupiter is actually in your sixth, and the sixth house is about work and service. Jupiter is about travel. Jupiter can literally be a representation for you of traveling for work purposes. Okay. Exploring different destinations, working in different countries, even because, especially Jupiter is in its home sign of Sagittarius, the very sign of long distance travel. So, that I feel is very fascinating. I'm also going to say this stuff that we talk about here is also going to be very fulfilling and rewarding, because with you having more of this, I suppose, freedom, so to speak, your ability to move and relocate and see different parts of the world, to expand yourself, really, I think positions like that make you feel really happy and they fulfill you, they inspire you. I think actually this is a big part of what you crave in many ways, a big part of what you crave. But there is a challenge, right? There is a challenge here. But actually, before we get on to the challenge, I want to mention something else, because I just saw with Jupiter also connecting with your Leo placements, plus the midheaven is in Aries, there is a bit of this grand fire trine. So grand fire trines, if we do include the midheaven in this, grand fire trines can point toward great passion and enthusiasm. We can feel just really lit up and just super encouraged and inspired. And I think when it comes to the work that you do, right, when it comes to your professional life, these are the kinds of feelings that you want to come along with it. It's like you want to feel like you can be independent, you can take on the next big challenge. And I think even with the midheaven being in Aries, we can look at this as you being a bit of a mentor or a coach or a leader. And the very ruler of the midheaven, Mars, is in Leo. And so this further indicates this leadership role, this leadership position. Now, when we go back to challenges here, these challenging points, a couple of things. One, Mars is opposing Venus. Two, Jupiter is creating a square to Saturn. And then, well, three, Chiron is opposing the Sun. Okay, well, what does this all mean? I think what we're seeing here, and I hope I say this in layman's terms, we're seeing the struggles, the tensions, the conflict between you and a significant other when it comes to what you want versus the relationship. Independence and doing your own thing versus collaborating and trying to see eye to eye, thinking about win-win outcomes. And even Venus in Aquarius can present as a bit like, it's okay, we can be friends, it's completely fine, right? But still, the Mars and Leo part can feel very passionate about things, can be quite fired up about things. So give me a second, give me a moment. I want to double check this question. Yeah, you said that you're in a romantic relationship, you're feeling uncertain about it. So we kind of see, I think, with this opposition, this tug, this uncertainty that you perhaps describe. And so maybe when it comes to relationships, there is what feels like this, should I not? Because you're trying to sort of take into consideration what you want versus what the other person wants. So there is that part of it. And maybe even a part of it too is tied to this Scorpio influence in the fifth. So when it comes to love and romance and relationships, with the North Node being in Scorpio, there is something here about establishing relationships that are more intimate. But I'm just going to go with my intuition here. And I'm thinking to myself that, yes, this is what you crave, right? It's more about an intimate connection. And so if it is that you find yourself caught up in this sort of, there's something here that's communicating that you're not super aligned perhaps with that connection on that deeper level that you actually crave. And I maybe think also South Node in Taurus in the 11th house, this can indicate a little bit of keeping people in the friend zone. It's sort of like being comfortable with just being in the friend zone, and it's just that's happy, that's steady, that's safe, right? So there is a bit of this, I would say, a bit of a challenging point here to do with making decisions within relationships. But I think ultimately what it is that you're really craving deep down is that of intimacy, trust, respect. It's the emotions with Scorpio. And then I'm also going to say here with Jupiter making a bit of a square to Saturn, right? We go back to that. There is a part of this where maybe it can feel a bit like things are coming to a head, especially because now Saturn's actually the same degree as your natal Saturn. Venus is also there. So we are seeing the indecision to do with this trip. We are seeing the relationship stuff happening. Venus is about relationships. Jupiter is about travel. Saturn is about commitment. So I think you're at this point of, well, what are we? What are we? these questions may be really coming up here. And so ultimately, this is for you to decide. But then I also want to say just quickly that with the Chiron opposition to the sun, I looked at your travel chart, and the Chiron the Chiron line, well, the Chiron ascendant line specifically, is very close to Portugal. What I'm getting from this, and this is by no means me telling you, you need to do this, you need to do that. This is about your decisions, what you want to do. But what I'm getting from these patterns and themes is that there's like a ripping the band-aid energy here. There is this is going to be really, really painful if I make this move, but I've just got to do it. This is what I'm getting. Also think about how the sun descendant line is nearby Portugal, not as close as Chiron. And that sun descendant line could indicate some form of like, oh, I'm thriving here. I really enjoy it here. But I am going to say, do use a word of caution, because with Saturn being in the 9th house, there could be feelings of homesickness. There could be fears to do with travel. There could be maybe some blockages to do with travel. So it could be that you sort of get yourself all hyped up perhaps for certain experiences or travel experiences, and then you actually do it. And then actually you think to yourself, oh gosh, why did I do this? Right. And that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that can be completely normal, honestly. And sometimes when we do relocate, homesickness can come up and those feelings can come up. But ultimately, I'm just trying to come at this from a place of trying to be balanced. The thing about astrology is that it's not all good, it's not all bad. It's trying to find some healthy way of helping you assess these patterns and themes so that you can hopefully get the most from it. But ultimately, that is what I'm going to say for you, India. Thank you so much, India. And I wish you all the best. I mean, honestly, I think it sounds really exciting, this new chapter for you. Yeah. A digital nomad. Amazing. Interesting. Well, I wish you all the best, India. Thank you so much. Right. So, lastly, we have, let me have a look here. Marie. All right, I'm going to put in your information. Okay. Got it. Oh. Yeah. Yes. Perfect. I'm just double checking your info. 1970. Yep. Okay. So, Marie, let's have a look. Yes. We'll come out of that and that. Go here. Go here. Go here. Here. All right. Just going to present your chart. Your final reading of this evening. Let's see. I'm just going to take a moment as well to read through your question, okay? Let's see. Okay, yep. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Career. Okay. All right, Marie, just give me a moment then and I will explore your chart. I just double checked. I definitely have it presented. Great. So the first thing I'm going to say here is it's a very fascinating thing to consider how you moved away from the career sphere, more of the professional, perhaps corporate life, corporate world with Virgo in the 10th. And you became more, okay, right, concerned about family stuff, home stuff, being a stay at home mother. Because the North Node is so much about our soul's purpose. And that's not necessarily about career or what we do as per se. It's more about karma, where we feel called. It's more about destiny as well. So the North Node being in the 4th house really is a big indicator, first and foremost, that, yeah, we're seeing here these themes of being at home more and looking after, caring for your family. Mix this in slightly with Mars actually being in Cancer in your 8th house, right? It's making, you could say that the trine isn't so potent or significant, but hey, Mars is still in Cancer, and Cancer is the archetype of the mother. So we look at this as sort of an indicator of your direction, your path being related to motherhood, especially because Aries is on the 5th house, and Aries is about, or sorry, the 5th house is about children. The 5th house is about children. Mars then rules this 5th house for you. But let's think about where you're at today. And let's try to explore what you might be pretty interested in. And what I'm getting from this, perhaps, is when it comes to roles that require a lot of details or having to analyze a lot of information, maybe in some respects you can get bored very easily. Maybe what you crave, what you desire is some form of freedom, growth, learning new things. Creativity could also be a big part of this. And so whenever we explore this more, we see that the sun is in Gemini and Mercury is in Gemini. And so I think that where you may, in some respects, thrive, where you may seek to learn the most, is by connecting with people, maybe interviewing people, perhaps taking part in public surveys or trying to analyze people. Just communication could be a big part of this. Trying to communicate and figure out other people's views. Maybe media is something you also gravitate towards quite a bit. Could be media related jobs, big focus on sharing, and a big focus on could be elements of research, but it needs to be varied. I just think in general you need to feel like there's some form of movement, curiosity, and openness. There's versatility. You can be quite flexible, adaptable. And the other thing to uh, further add to this is certain rules could involve technology, really working heavily with technology, especially because, well, when we look to the midheaven is conjunct Uranus. And sure, this could also be an indicator of things suddenly happening to do with your professional life. I'm wondering, even, is it that, this sort of route you were going down was somehow related to law or management or diplomacy, counseling, mediating? And perhaps there is still a part of this where there's still a curiosity to do with socializing, to do with communication. But back to Uranus, I think Uranus still can indicate innovation. It can indicate maybe trying something new. And perhaps in some respects, this is where you're at. And where do you see this? This is so interesting. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Okay. I need to gather my thoughts because I just saw the connections. Okay. The 11th house can be so much about sort of big companies and organizations, firms, and all of that stuff. And we can see all the legal stuff, legal documents, okay, with Libra in the 11th. And hey, the thing about Jupiter, right? Jupiter is your chart ruler. Jupiter is about knowledge, acquiring knowledge. It's about higher education. We see you actually qualifying when it comes to a certain role within these areas, and that's great. Here we go. Jupiter is currently in your 7th. So Jupiter, again as your ruler, is in your 7th, and it's retrograde in Gemini with Mercury. What does this mean? This means, in layman's terms, hopefully, that you're currently trying to assess and look over, okay, what do I want to learn about? What am I curious about? Who do I want to work with? What kinds of people do I want to engage with? One-to-one connections, especially with the 7th house, could also be about business deals, contracts, agreements, things like that. But variety is so much a part of this. And so Jupiter is retrograde until the 4th of February. And it's going to turn direct on the 4th of February. And what you're going to find from the 4th of February all the way up until June time, as Jupiter especially connects with your sun around about June time, Jupiter with the sun, what does this mean? I think this is going to suggest some sort of expansion or positivity, enthusiasm, inspiration to do with this new path that you want to go down, right? When it comes to relating, when it comes to business, media, things like that, socializing is just a big part of this. It's exploring ideas and just getting conversations going with people. And it doesn't have to be so serious and heavy, right? Could even be a bit of wit, a bit of comedy involved in this, right? Creativity involved in this. So I think that this is like the trajectory that you're on. But then you see, and this is why I just had to take a moment earlier to gather my thoughts, because not only is Jupiter transiting your 7th, but Uranus is going to come along and enter your 7th. Enter your 7th, July, for a few months. Okay, about July until October time, about that. So what could this indicate? Innovation, change, the unexpected to do with business partnerships. But I'm also going to say this. I think you could actually still draw from your qualifications, drawing from your skills, the knowledge that you've already acquired, maybe to do with diplomacy, maybe to do with law, legal stuff, management stuff, or mediating stuff. You can draw from all of that and you can bring it, right? You can sort of, in a way, carry it over into these remarkable shifts and changes that you want to create for yourself when it comes to business partnerships. Hey, maybe it's that there's something about collaboration, new opportunities to do with collaborating with people. And there could also be the unexpected to do with technological shifts, maybe because of how technology has sort of evolved and changed over all of these years. You may find that there's something online for you, right? There could be like an online course you want to take or a program you want to join. And so, because of that, you may be entered into this whole other world, right, of information and different people. And then networking can happen and all these other connections can form. All of this is to say for you, I think, for you, Marie, I think we're going to see interesting developments to do with your social life, which could be very, very exciting. Okay. So, yeah, I hope Marie, I hope that was helpful for you. I really do. Everybody, this has been, let me just double check your question. I hope I've answered it correctly. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. So, everyone, this has been the session of live readings. Thank you all so much for booking with me this evening. And happy Saturday. It's Saturn day. Venus is conjunct with Saturn as well. So, all the very best to you. Thank you for booking. And ultimately, I just hope that you find your reading to be helpful. And have a great weekend. Bye. Bye, everyone. Oh, interesting. Okay, biology. Biology, Marie. Ah, okay, right. You're currently studying bookkeeping. That's quite a Virgo. That's quite a Virgo role, I think, with the bookkeeping. And Uranus as well. You know what? Yeah, Uranus can be about science. So, okay, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing your feedback. It's always good to know. Very fascinating indeed. But yes, all the very best to you, Marie. And thank you, everybody, for joining again. And have a lovely weekend. Bye, everyone.